Joining me now is Harry Dunn, former U.S. Capitol Police officer, founder of Dunn's Democracy Defenders, and author of Standing My Ground, a Capitol Police Officer's Fight for Accountability and Good Trouble After January 6th. Officer Dunn, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. All right, let's start with the gala. I want to get your reaction to it. Honoring insurrectionists, it's a look.
Is anybody really surprised?
No.
I wish I had the ability to be surprised by that.
Yeah.
But I guess the surprise effect went away after we saw what happened on January 6th. And not only what happened on January 6th, the Republicans, the right, the MAGA world's response to what happened on January 6th. A lot of people, that was their moment where they said, we're done with Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham said, that's it, we're done. McCarthy, they blamed him. Mitch McConnell, everybody blamed him. So that was their moment to get away from Donald Trump. Nope, he's right back at the forefront of it.
What's interesting to me, and maybe interesting is the wrong word, but what's always been notable to me is that Trump has presented himself as an ally of police, right?
Yeah.
Back the blue. He often will be photographed with members of the police force when he goes to and from his plane. But there's a certain segment of police that he's not, obviously, a fan of, and that's the Capitol Hill police. Get us in the mindset maybe of your fellow police officers. Like, do they recognize that contradiction?
I think that he backs the blue when you're loyal to him versus loyal to the oath that you took. And you see that a lot of times with the military people. He backs them, he supports them as long as they're loyal to him. But the thing is, we're loyal to the oath. We're loyal to the country. We're loyal to the Constitution, not an individual. So that's when Donald Trump loves to be able to say he backs the blue, because he finds a big population of law enforcement that does support him, not just our police officers.
Right. The issue or the role that January 6th will play in this upcoming election, 65 days, remarkably close. How much do you think the Harris-Walz ticket should look back at that day, focus on that day, highlight that day, and make the case that Trump is a unique threat currently versus maybe be more focused looking? Or can they do both?
You have to do both. Listen, we're going on 4 years, almost 4 years since January 6th happened. Donald Trump wears it as a badge of honor. I wish that I wasn't sitting here with you right now. I wish that I wasn't relevant. I wish that January 6th wasn't relevant. The fact that we are talking about it because they're holding an awards gala, people are still downplaying what happened on January 6th versus what everybody saw with their own eyes. And even just the new uncovered footage that it seems like the Republicans, the MAGA world is looking for a smoking gun that takes the blame away from Donald Trump for what happened on January 6th. Everybody saw what happened, but Donald Trump wears it as a badge of honor. So as long as he continues to do that, unfortunately, the police officers, myself, will continue to be relevant because I'm not going to stop pushing back against those lies, which I think the Harris campaign is doing a good job of doing.
I'm kind of curious on a psychological level for you. You lived it, you experienced it, you know it's true.
Yeah.
What is it like to watch 46% of the country be like, no, that actually wasn't a violent day. That was a peaceful protest. No, these people are being mistreated. They should be pardoned. They should be brought back into society. Is it like an out-of-body experience in a way?
It used to make me very angry, furious. However, it just made me come to the realization, this is our country. This is our country. Yes, there are most of the people in the world know what happened on January 6th. They know that Donald Trump was responsible. Most reasonable people.
Right, but 46% of the public looks at it and says, I don't believe it.
Then it sucks. It sucks. However, there are people I've seen going out in the country, going across the country, being able to talk to people that really don't have an understanding of what happened that day. So being able to talk to them and continue to tell the truth about what happened that day is important, and I'll continue to do it.
And very quickly before we lose you, but we have an election coming up. Yeah. Obviously, the January 6th riot was on January 6th, so it's not going to happen in November. But there's a chance that Trump tries the same stuff. He's not in power, of course, but he could try to do something similar. It's not totally out of the question. Are you in touch with your former colleagues, and are they thinking about that and what it would be like?
Well, Donald Trump is planting the seeds for January 6th to happen. However, we have an adult in the White House now that will be responsible for the response should something bad happen. And I don't think there's any hesitation that Joe Biden will give everybody, the police, the assistance that they need should something like that arrive. But, I mean, how could that not be on your mind?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn. Harry, hey.
Thanks
so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.